Can't fool me again. You can't fool me again. You hold me down for a very long time. Can't buy sugar, we can't buy lime. Can't buy scallion, we can't buy time. You can't fool me again. Can't fool me again. You can't fool me again. Hold me down for a very long time. Can't buy sugar, we can't buy lime. You touch up line and a resort to crime. You can't fool me again.
What we gonna eat no money, what we at you, eat no at you. COVID money, miss away in the your little rat you. Use the youth, the money, waste my must a man to start you. Say me like a catch you, but they got in a figure you. Take this print of money, got and say that it's not you. One day the man above him, look him, I got a bet. Too much it in the kitchen, some a fly well like a pat too. The singers and DJs and social media's coming at you.
It burn me.
300% praise.
It burn me.
Garbage pile up the day.
It burn me.
Give the teacher them raise.
It burn me.
I see corruption face.
It burn me.
Mash down the people them house.
It burn me.
Every day appear arms out.
It burn me.
Appear money them a thief.
It burn me.
And them a sell out the beach.
Can't fool me again. You can't fool me again. You hold me down for a very long time. Can't buy sugar, we can't buy lime. Can't buy scallion, we can't buy time. You can't fool me again. Can't fool me again. You can't fool me again.
Stibby dim day. We in Global TV says certain kind of friend we no cape. And some informer friend we love Lake. We in Global, bona fake friend and bona tape. We in Global, we not promote them, we not support them. Look at them on the cheek, come here represent for we in Global TV. Check it.
Good evening and welcome. Thank you for joining us. We're bringing you breaking news this evening as there has been a slow crumble of cabinet ministers falling from the Andrew Holness government. Ruckus a breakout over the jump out and knock the old cursing. And this is certainly no time to ring the bell as things are not looking favorable for the Jamaica Labour Party and the Andrew Holness-led regime. We will also tonight be continuing our probe of the One Jamaica Legal Defense Foundation. We have some more questions to ask. We have some more points to make. Good evening and welcome to my community of party and all my family members, platform moderators, membership holders, viewers, subscribers, commenters, and trolls. Good evening. Debbie Jarvis TV, Beaton Teach, Sim, Cousin J, Elaine Turner, Natalia Freeman, Patricia Matthews, Violet Watson, Abina Sarkodi. Good evening all, and welcome. Thank you. Rosemary Edwards, you want to stay calm or you want to go? This evening is an unentertained evening of those who think this is their platform. Certainly, it is your finger, but this is my platform. I am a social justice journalist. I am indeed in my own rights to question anyone in public life, anyone in a leadership organization, particularly those who claim to be acting on our behalf and dealing with our affairs. My right. My right. If you don't want to listen to my probe, you know where the other channels are. You just hit the link that says live and you can scroll through and find out who you want to watch tonight. But please do not come over here with the fancy tonight. We're not into that. This is a professional broadcast. This is professional journalism, trained and qualified in what I'm doing. I didn't just pick this up. I spent 6 years at law school. I have training in journalism when I was doing in media studies, when I was doing my master's degree. I'm not a just come airy fairy. I know what I'm doing. I know how to do my work, you see. Hmm? There is a prodigal prime minister. What is wrong, Andrew Holness? Constitutionally. Because it's the paper them are write it in one construed way, no, Andrew. Nobody now right say your cabinet. This is a cabinet member. This is not just an MP. This is a junior minister in the Ministry of Education, is it not? Constitutionally, she has until Parliament is dissolved for the next election. Organizationally, though, it rings a bell, Prime Minister, does it not? When one resigns with immediate effect. In the employment organizational world, Prime Minister, what that suggests is gross misconduct, dereliction of duty. What is it, Prime Minister? We want to know. Could it be, Prime Minister, the last time somebody resigned like that or similar to that in your government, Prime Minister, was when we caught Maris and Delwilto Filbert stealing, Prime Minister. The other day when Julian Robinson was having his constituency conference, Julian Robinson said, when we get back to Parliament in September, we expect the unveiling of the illicit aid because reports are expected to be coming to Parliament to be tabled, and that will start to unveil the illicit aid. Jump or push, Prime Minister? Jump or push is the question. Is this a disciplinary? Has she resigned on health matters? Is she going cuckoo-de-lally like Babsy and Favor? Are we expected to see Chang at Bellevue anytime soon? What is going on in your cabinet, Prime Minister? The international people them have picked off one of your arm. You said they want more. We want help. You put the hog them on the hog truck, Prime Minister. What is wrong? This is not just one of your MP resigning, Prime Minister. This is a member of your cabinet. This is not so Prime Minister. I drink black coffee this evening. This is not so. Somebody in a damn high flight of their career, Prime Minister. Of course, Prime Minister. Let us make it clear that Marsha was given the seat for only one term. We understand that because it was to recoup back the money her dad spent in the Labour Party. We understand that bit of it, Prime Minister. Why not subvert her term, though? Constitution, even if the new phone chairman from London, Matthew Samuda, who commit election fraud in getting himself in a parliamentary prospective seat. Even if Matthew Samuda, I give her a warm time, she can't just sit down, turn up a parliament, and don't turn a blind eye to anything else until Andrew Holness called the election again. Is that not what Marsha Smith has been doing since 2020? Is that not what Marsha Smith has been doing since 2020? Marsha Simmet nah do nothing. And now, I know nothing new. Marsha Simmet was elected in 2020. And from about 2021, 2022, the people them start demonstrate against Marsha Simmet. I know nothing new. Since all of them, the prime minister, you took Marsha up and you put her in the Ministry of Education as junior prime minister. If she now perform rather, prime minister, in her constituency, what you think she would undo in her education? Won't catch her hand in her. I hit me ask. Because the last time we know of this, Maria said that Wellington hand came out of the cookie jar with a lot of ants on it. Was it not, Prime Minister? So we want to know when we catch Marsha and do. Because I say, Marsha not have to pay attention to boy if boy irritate her. The Sumuda boy. Or Samuda, whatever her name. She don't have to pay attention. She has not paid attention to her constituency for the last 4 years, has she? Prime Minister? She has not paid attention to her constituency for the last so and so. You gave her a government job since all those demonstrations against Marsha since about 2002. What changed today? Wanna catch her hand in her? What is happening in your government and the wholeness? Nigel is explainable. We know a long time from about 2002 that Nigel was auditioning for the World Bank or the IMF. This isn't really surprising with Nigel, to be honest with you. The argument that I want to pick up on, though, with the whole Nigel issue and the Jamaica Labour Party is the issue of patriotism, because that was the rope you all used to hang Mark Golding on his citizenship, his British heritage, his loyalty, and all of the rucuses. You all use that patriotic argument. Should there be a war between Britain and Jamaica? Whose side Mark Golding takes? But here is a war, and that was the white Mark Golding we're talking about. But here is a war between Jamaica and the IMF. And here is black Nigel Clark, Jamaica Labour Party, choosing the IMF over getting the Jamaica economy right. Could the Jamaica Labour Party and those of you with the patriotic argument make this make sense? Are we saying that Nigel Clark isn't a patriot because the work of the IMF is more important to Nigel Clark than getting the Jamaica economy right? But oh no, if you slip back a bit and you understand how the system works, then Jamaica was a perfect training ground for Nigel Clark. If the IMF is to make sure economy are undeveloped and stagnant, then Nigel Clark training in Jamaica, training how to slash and dash and mash up the Jamaican economy, would be a perfect candidate for the job, as they allude to, which I will get into later on with when I get into the OJLDF investigation. Darrell Vaz at it again. Darrell Vaz, young DT, Wagwan. Darrell Vaz is making an election, a promise that he will implement when they become opposition next year. Because Darrell Vaz is saying he pledged rural transport system by 2025. We all know by 2025 September, the Jamaica Labour Party will be out of government the way it's going now. The question to Darrell Vaz, though, this rural bus transport service, would it be implemented within this current tax year, or will it be for your 2025 budget if you manage to get there? If you manage to get there for your 2025-2026 budget, I wonder if that's where the money is going to be allotted. And how, Darrell Vaz, will you be able to implement that when in opposition? Just asking, Darrell Vaz, just asking. Because you know, so I want to speak out a hot air ends when I don't feel like it. Who asks? Horace Chang or Andrew Holness? Who do we speak to about this? Horace Chang or Andrew Holness? Good night, Mr. Rattigan. Tell Mr. Rattigan to draw closer to the line. We're coming up to the OJ LDF. Holness, coming out to blame Chang for anything anymore. Because Holness take over national security from Andrew Holness. So, anything to do with security, we have to talk to Andrew. In the last 28 days, Prime Minister, because the Gleaner, I noticed, Prime Minister, keep pointing this out to you for the last about 2 weeks. In the last 28 days, 91 Jamaicans were murdered. In the last 28 days, 91 Jamaicans were murdered. Yet the JCF still hold to the argument that murder rather, is 16% down. Leave it, Wayne. You talk about 91, you talk about 28, you talk about 16, all of them are numbers. You'll never understand it. JCF can't explain it. If 6 come out here and attempt, it even gonna get worse. So leave it, Wayne. Leave it. JCF to understand it. You don't understand them. You not gonna understand it. 91, then the 28 and 16. Then if you add minus subtract or what if you do with it, but number there. But this government and the whole heap of knives favor. Favor where Andrew take away your job. Take away your job, get a basic school picnic favor. See there? In a one group of a California school, 32 Jamaican teachers. And I never want to play much of this Prime Minister and the nonsense I will talk about. But let me play the shorter one before I tell you how this boy is hypocritical.
Focus on addressing the pain points.
No, this one.
Please do not place in the minds of the students a psychological fear of mathematics or anything technical. Encourage them, even if you are not mathematically inclined. Encourage them. It is the way of the world. If Jamaica is to move from a low wage, low productivity, low growth economy into a high wage, high growth, high productivity economy. Investing in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics is critical. Encourage your children in that path. Not to the exclusion of their natural creativity in other areas, but it is important that they are able to negotiate the world in which they will live. Essentially, parents, the world that we inhabit will be led by people who create technology and innovate, and those who consume it. It is those who create it, who create the value, that will have the wealth. And those who are constantly consuming it, you will be one step just above poverty. If you want your household, your country to raise its level of production, to break the cycle of poverty, then we must become the creators of technology. And to become the creators of technology, we must.
I have to play that to respond to the hypocrite. Now, this is bear in mind, Andrew was the Minister of Education under Bruce Golding's government. Bear in mind, Andrew Holness has now been at the helm for 8 years. That what he just said would be all well and good coming from a leader who care about education. But this Andrew Holness, from when he was at the Ministry of Education, to Andrew Holness becoming Prime Minister, Lane Worrell, Reid, Grace McLean, Fable, and all those at the Department of Education, probably has presided over the worst looting in our education budget, say for the last 12, 15 years. Looting in our education budget. This Prime Minister have presided over a debacle of brain drain. It has gotten worse under this Prime Minister. But yet it's the same Prime Minister sitting in front of a group of parents and children talking about investment in education. This is the Prime Minister twirling and swirling around the island. Couldn't, by taking over all portfolio, make sure that our schools are ready for the school year after burial. You see the hypocrisy of this youth when he opens his mouth? You see sometimes why you have to listen to this fool, because you have to use it to hold him to account. It may hurt sometimes to listen to fools, but if you don't know what the fools utter, you won't be able to hold the fool to account. So sometimes you have to listen to this wicked, evil, treacherous, thieving Prime Minister, corrupt to the core Prime Minister. Have no shame and the wholeness. You preside over a cabinet of thieves. You preside over a government and a party of criminals, Prime Minister, some of which are under investigation for gaining from illegal activities. What a blunder. What a blunder of a government. They call it a government, don't they? What a blunder. Good night, Mr. Rattigan. Global TV have some point to make and some questions to ask Mr. Rattigan. Global TV is not pursuing personally the Mr. Rattigan. What Global TV is interested in is the legal and administrative adherence of the One Jamaica Legal Defense Foundation. It is not a private organization. Therefore, one is allowed to question. We are going to have a conversation tonight about cash donation. We're going to also question further the payment to Isaac Buchanan or his firm in the lawsuit against Rattigan versus Kabina Smith. You will understand if you follow the timeline. With regards to cash donation, Mr. Rattigan, I'm going to play a few clips for you, and then I will have some questions after that.
The branch manager told me that they have a unit called Know Your Customers, KYC, and they're the ones running the show when it comes to the non-profit organization. And they're very careful about it being an international banking entity, because they said that, I don't know if it's true, I just have to take his word for it. He said that they just before COVID, during COVID, they discovered that a lot of the, I shouldn't say a lot, but they discovered that some of the non-profit organizations, they're used to launder money, and some of them are used to commit fraud, and that's why they have to be exact when they do these things. They have to make sure that, you know, that they do a due diligence on the organization and also on the people involved. So long story short, he said that it's going to I gave him the information today. I signed off again, and he said he's going to send it back into the component, the Know Your Customer component, and if they need more information, he'll let me know. But suffice it to say that he said it'll take about 7 to 10 days before, if everything goes well. He said it will take about 7 to 10 days before the account will become active. He's also said there's a possibility they might come back and ask for more information. But I'm prepared to give them whatever they want, because I mean, this is no fly-by-night organization, and it's not an organization that will have anything to do with fraud or money laundering. One of the things he made sure to tell me was, that do not collect cash. He said that's a big red signal. Do not collect cash. Have people donate their funds through whatever means where those funds can be tracked and traced back to people, as opposed to somebody saying that they're going to give you cash, because he said that's a huge problem for them, because sometimes some of these people, they collect cash, they don't deposit the cash, or for whatever reason, the people who gave them cash claim that they gave them more than what they deposited, and then you have all kinds of issues. So I can't afford to be involved in something like that. So I'll make it absolutely clear. We will accept no cash. So you'll just have to send the money in through electronic means or a check. But that was it, PayPal or the other one, I don't remember. But definitely not cash. So again.
Okay, bear in mind, Mr. Rattigan said this last year, September. The important line to take away from that, the organization, he said, will not collect cash. I'm going to play a snippet from Friday's protests.
To welcome to the mic, to the podium, none other than the fearless leader of OJLDF, Wilfred Rattigan.
All right, this is what we've been waiting on. The founder and president. Here we go.
sorry, that was the wrong video. Let me bring the right video in queue. Bear with me. Bear with. Right, this should be the correct video from the protest.
About money, so we're just afraid to talk about money.
Really?
A joke on me.
Really?
I want to thank all of you who have donated already. And I just want to point, we have a box over there on the table, and this time it's not a brown. I said this time it's not a what?
Brown paper bag.
Pass me the box, let me show them the box. Okay, yo. No brown paper, only thing in a brown paper bag a patty. Oh, voilà. We have one for brown paper bag, but a patty in it. Give me the box, give me the box, and we show them the pretty box. Show them the pretty box. It's our box pretty, red, my box pretty, and it's so not brown today. Oh. Oh. Look at this, everybody. Jeffrey, show them that, Jeffrey. Look here. You look brown? You look brown? And look here. People put money in there, no look. So, I want, no, this time, the last time we pass it round. But I want you guys to come over to the table and give a donation. And see, all right, so something going right there. So, yeah, man, that's how we want to take it to them. We want to take the fight to them. Put this back. We're not going to back down because some of the detractors want to them and say, oh, dear them. Yeah, no, we're not back down one.
Right. I'm not going to get into the Sisyphanial of all that. Bear in mind, September last year, Mr. Rattigan said we will not collect cash. There has been an ongoing debacle for the last 3 weeks. I have outlined the principle that the organization should be operating by. Here goes Mr. Rattigan on Friday in public collecting cash. But note, there was no documenting of who you're taking cash from and how much cash. How do you, Mr. Rattigan, how do you account for those donations? And how do you, if you're doing administrative documentation, how do you account for that on your financial accounting? 1. And 2, how do you account for that on your tax return? How do you reach out to the donors to tell them thanks? If donors can roll up money and push in a piggy bank, a box, a safe, or whatever, how is that following ethical practices, Mr. Rattigan? How is that following your legal or administrative requirements? What if your audit, Mr. Rattigan? How can you provide accountability for those money? This is what I'm saying, Mr. Rattigan. You need to say something and stick to it and not be flip-flopping here. You cannot, 1, will not be collecting cash, then 2, collect cash, but not regulate it. I don't understand what's going on, Mr. Rattigan. It's not really making sense. You're a police officer for over 30 odd years, Mr. Rattigan. You're also, as well, in the legal profession, though I cannot find court cases that you have successfully done. But this bit with the money, Mr. Rattigan, you should understand U.S. law. You should understand the legal requirements of organization. But even in public, Mr. Rattigan, you're faltering. You really are faltering in public. I don't get it. But beyond that, the fearless leader argument still pushes through Let's listen to this clip and we'll come back on the other side.
Legal Defense Foundation came about as a result of sitting around thinking, how could we help Jamaica? Yes. Wayne Lonesome was the first person, and we have to give him credit. Wayne Lonesome was the first person to file a lawsuit against the Jamaican government. After he did, I became the second person. And in a discussion with him about how can we finance these lawsuits, because there are more lawsuits to be filed. The idea was get a foundation that can sponsor this. Out of that came the One Jamaica Legal Defense Foundation. That foundation was established in June of last year. A little over a year. We collected our first dollar in September of last year, less than a year ago. And here's what we've done. Before I even talk about what we've done, let me just say what we've done surpasses anything that any other diaspora organization has done in the history of the Jamaican diaspora.
You heard that, didn't you? That is a dangerous man speaking like that. What OJLDF, Mr. Rattigan, says, have done within a year, it has done more than all the diaspora organizations together that has ever been. Did you hear that? Is that true? No, did you hear that? And is that true? Let me play it again. Because Mr. Rattigan actually said it. I don't know if people heard when he said it or understands what he means. It's not hard to be true, honest, Mr. Rattigan. It's really not. And this is why I cannot drop this situation, because it's nothing personal about you, Ratty. You and I don't know each other. We've barely ever spoken on the phone 5 times, Mr. Rattigan. You know that. Even if Mr. Rattigan have to call me, Mr. Rattigan have to pass it through my security advisor first. He knows he could not just pick up his phone and call me like that. Trust me, that's a fact. May I freeze? It soon come back in a rhythm. So it's nothing personal. It is about the people, though, that you claim to represent, but seek to manipulate. I don't get it. That bit as a social justice activist. I'm not a political activist like Wayne Lonesome or Rattigan or the others. I'm a social justice activist. It comes from a total different standpoint from the others. But let me play it again so you hear Mr. Rattigan for yourself saying the 1 year lifespan of the One Jamaica Legal Defense Foundation, it has achieved more than what any other organization in the diaspora over their lifetime has achieved. Refresh your phone, your app, Beat and Teach. Close it and open again. Let me play it so you hear Mr. Rattigan again uttering those words. I'm using Mr. Rattigan words. I'm not going after Mr. Rattigan for anything other than what he says or does as a leader.
Now, the One Jamaica Legal Defense Foundation came about as a result of sitting around thinking, how could we help Jamaica? Yes. Wayne Lonesome was the first person, and we have to give him credit. Wayne Lonesome was the first person to file a lawsuit against the Jamaican government. After he did, I became the second person. And in a discussion with him about how can we finance these lawsuits, because there are more lawsuits to be filed. The idea was get a foundation that can sponsor this. Out of that came the One Jamaica Legal Defense Foundation. That foundation was established in June of last year. A little over a year. We collected our first dollar in September of last year, less than a year ago. And here's what we've done. Before I even talk about what we've done, let me just say what we've done surpasses anything that any other diaspora organization has done in the history of the Jamaican diaspora.
That was a blatant lie. It must not pass, Mr. Rattigan. It will not pass me, certainly. It was a lie. And it must be said, Mr. Rattigan, it is a lie. It's not true. It is not true, Mr. Rattigan. It is simple not true. It will not sell round here, Mr. Rattigan. The lawsuit Wayne Lonesome filed, Mr. Rattigan, was a frivolous lawsuit. What is a frivolous lawsuit, Mr. Rattigan? One that has no legal basis. You and Wayne Lonesome, Rattigan, on a file lawsuits out of emotion, not out of legal basis, is a waste of money, even if out of your pocket, Rattigan, but we'll get to that side of it. Even if it's out of your pocket, Mr. Rattigan, it's a waste of money. Filing a lawsuit because of your emotions, filing a lawsuit because you're angry, it's either facetious, Mr. Rattigan, or frivolous. It's either that you're too feisty, facetious, or it's too frivolous. It has no legal basis, Mr. Rattigan. As one that has gone through the doctor jurist training, you should have known that that wouldn't work. But then again, if your lawsuit frenzy, and in an American lawsuit fetish society, one would just think about lawsuit. But Mr. Rattigan, this is not the American system of lawsuits, though. Let's continue to listen to Mr. Rattigan.
In less than a year, we filed a lawsuit against Minister Kamina Johnson-Smith. We wrote to King Charles about the Governor General, because as you know, the Governor General was signing off on all of these.
Right, let me explain that letter to you. He wrote to the Governor General with regards to not the Governor General, the palace, with regards to the Governor General signing off on the constitutionality of the Zozo and state of emergency. They did respond to him, but in the British culture, they'll always respond to communication. But the response was more a stick two fingers up your backside, Mr. Rattigan. It was pretty much that, diplomatically. Let's continue to listen.
State of emergency, and it was declared to be unconstitutional. Then we sent off a letter that caused all of this disruption that is going on.
Right, Mr. Rattigan. The Jamaican court has already ruled it unconstitutional. What do you think King Charles are going to do about it? Even if King Charles, Rattigan, could interfere in our politics, what do you think King Charles could have done? King Charles and his henchman is in a ceremonial position. They do not do the political administration. Total waste of time and waste of people's money. Let's continue to listen.
Sent out that letter that went to the ambassador, everybody in Jamaica, about protests. The protest came out of the One Jamaica Legal Defense Foundation in collaboration with the Call to Action movement. We've done 4.
He spoke that backwards. It came out of the Call to Action in collaboration with One Jamaica Legal Defense Foundation, Mr. Rattigan. That's actually the right way around.
This is the fourth. We've also filed a complaint against the DPP with the General Legal Counsel because, again, as most of you know, going back to the Vibes Cartel case, she said in her own words that she has been involved in jury tampering cases where there were allegations about jury tampering, and she allowed the cases to go forward. Right.
Right. Complaining to the GLC about Paula in relation to the whole Vibes Cartel issue. Paula is not just any lawyer that comes under the GLC ethics portfolio, but rather she is an office holder, Mr. Rattigan, the Director of Public Prosecution, a tenure under a special tenure, Mr. Rattigan, whether it be for 2-term or whatever tenure they are under. You cannot move them unless they become compos mentis or serious professional breaches, Mr. Rattigan. And even with the serious professional breach, you still have to go through an impeachment proceeding, Mr. Rattigan, which doesn't come under the GLC portfolio, but under the Chief Justice, the Services Commission, and other groups coming together to form that tribunal. But Mr. Rattigan is one that doesn't follow procedures or doesn't really understand protocol. Let's listen.
We have filed dozens of ATIs. What's ATI? Access to information. And it's similar to the Freedom of Information Act.
Right. The ATI are free to apply for. Anybody can sit down around a computer and send out a bunch of ATIs. Anybody can do that.
In the United States, where you ask the government to provide you with information, there are limited circumstances under which they will not give you that information. But now we find out that is an expanded circumstance. They don't want to give you the information at all, right? We even developed a lawsuit against the Prime Minister, and for reasons best left unknown, that lawsuit was not filed. We're going to dust it off, and there may be reason for us to file it. So we're going to come back to you for funding, right? Of course, because we're above board, we're beyond reproach, we're transparent. Next week we're meeting with...
Did you hear that? I don't think you listen to words when Mr. Rattigan speak. We are above board. We are beyond reproach. We are above board. I'll reverse it so you hear for yourself. I don't know what you take that to be. We are above board. We are beyond reproach. Jesus Christ. What a danger.
It was not filed. We're going to dust it off. And there may be reason for us to file it. So we're going to come back to you for funding, right? Of course, because we're above board, we're beyond reproach, we're transparent. Next week we're meeting with our accountant, and we will be filing taxes for our tax year 2023, and that will be put on the website. Don't forget the website, OneJamaicaLegalDefense.net, OJLDF.net. Don't file, right? So, and you can go there, you can look to see how much money was collected, how much money was spent, how the money was spent, and how much money was left over from last year to this year. And for those inquiring minds who would like to know what happened to the money this year, they'll have to wait till next year because you don't file 2024.
Let me respond to that, Mr. Rattigan. That's actually very manipulative. It is true the way he explained the tax, but tax is not accountability to your organization. Your taxes is accountability to the IRS. You and your accountant, such as the cash he collected in that box, both you and your accountant can decide when you're filing your tax to either omit it from the tax record because you haven't got a donors list, or you can make up a bunky story about it. It's called tax avoidance, Mr. Rattigan. It is something easy to do with an accountant, Mr. Rattigan. But I told the people the other day that that argument is just to string you along. Because when he filed this year tax, you're only going to know about the money that was spent from June of last year to, what about receipt? Ask Mr. Rattigan. Lord Jesus, help that organization. When the tax file, you only are going to know about 2023 money when the tax file October I'm set. You have to go wait until next October or whenever I'm filed to find out how 2024 money was spent. So Mr. Rattigan have a long time to play you along while collecting donations on his website from information that is purely lies, Mr. Rattigan. I don't know how hard it is for an ex-police officer, an attorney, to do the right thing. Ex-police officer.
Taxes in 2024. You file 2024 taxes in 2020. Indeed. Indeed. So these are, we have caused the Jamaican government to buckle. Buckle. I mean, we're a force to reckon with. And
Mr. Rattigan should be by now, from last June to now, be able to produce at least 3 quarterly financial statements. At least 3. That's the accountability, Mr. Rattigan, not tax return. What if you're audited? Or are you going to tell the auditor, you have to come back after I file my tax return? It's just not like that, Mr. Rattigan. That's not how organizations are run. It's just simply not like that. Let's listen to this clip, then we will progress.
Them people are so bold-faced and them just...
This was Mr. Rattigan speaking about Kamina Johnson and Andrew them last year.
Them people are so bold-faced and them just lie. Them just lie. Second nature. They just roll off of them tongue. Them just lie. And you know why them lie? Because them believe that people won't be doing their due diligence. People won't be checking.
Question to you, Mr. Rattigan. Do you think my work is due diligence? And do you think the rolling lies of the tongue is very far from where you speak, Mr. Rattigan? Let's listen again. This is Mr. Rattigan speaking about the government.
Them people are so bold-faced and them just lie. Them just lie. Second nature. They just...
But Mr. Rattigan, I have sat down here and I have pointed out several lies that you've told just at the protests, Mr. Rattigan. Mr. Rattigan, if I was to go through, given in hindsight, Mr. Rattigan, if I were to trip through your 8 hours weekly show, I guess I would be unveiling a lot of your lies, don't you think? It cannot continue like this, Mr. Rattigan. if you want to claim to be that leader with credibility, Mr. Rattigan, one that has the competence to look after our affairs in the diaspora, one that is competent enough, Mr. Rattigan, even to communicate out of the selfish belligerence. We're using Mr. Rattigan's words, not ours. What we will do now, Mr. Rattigan, should I do all right. Let me do the international law bit of it first before I turn to the two cases and the legal fees for the cases. Like and share the live. Upon 2 channel, you can send super chat. Oh, no, so dull. Oh, no, no, do nothing. Oh, no, come if man for business and not like the like button. Anyway, this is not people's business. This is our business. We're talking about organization that works on behalf of us and takes donation from the public to do work on behalf of us. Therefore, any of us, all of us, can hold it to account. Now, we often hear Mr. Rattigan, and this is another manipulative thing he does, make the audience believe that he can get the US government or the European. Debbie White, mine Debbie White. You see, oh, me calm and you come over here. You don't have to listen or you don't have to write, you know, Debbie. It just tell you how, when you find out the truth of who Rattigan is, how it burn on you. Don't burn me, my dear. Go read. There's enough out there to read about Rattigan. A true and I read. Anyway, get back to it, Wade. You're doing investigative journalism. Let's deal with Mr. Rattigan continues manipulating the minds of the people that you are going to get Andrew Holness and all of these done by those. Now, America does its investigation, and every leader that it can do its investigation on, America uses information against leaders when leaders don't pay America's due. That is true. But there's a thing called diplomatic law, diplomatic relationship, that binds the international relationship of countries, country to country. Let's listen to some gluten clips of the Jamaican, some of the international partners speaking highly of our corrupt leaders. And after I will explain to you the context to that in relation to 1, Jamaica, 2, what Rattigan is making you to believe that he might or can get international countries' intervention in our governance. Let us listen to when Andrew went to New York a few years ago.
Since 1995, that a Prime Minister of Jamaica has visited the White House. And so President Joe Biden and I are very honored and very excited about your presence here today to reaffirm the strength of the relationship between the United States and Jamaica and the Caribbean as a whole, but also on this, the 60th anniversary, not only of Jamaica's independence, but of the diplomatic relationship between Jamaica and the United States. As I told the Prime Minister privately, and I will say it again publicly, this is a very important relationship to the United States. We take very seriously our membership in the Western Hemisphere, and we are acutely aware of the interconnection and interdependence between the United States and Jamaica. As
interconnection and interdependence, Mr. Rattigan. You know how the diplomatic field goes, Mr. Rattigan. Let's listen to, and the World Bank, one of them not from either the World Bank or the UN, propping up Andrew Holness. Bear in mind, we know them corrupt, them know them corrupt. But listen.
As we are doing this work, as we are preparing this work to come here and to take profit of the leadership and the experience of Prime Minister Holness. Prime Minister Holness has been, as he described, a champion in relation to climate action and a champion in relation to an effective, reformed, multilateral financial architecture in the world. And it was very important because of the success of the policies that Prime Minister Holness and his government have developed that allowed the country to reduce substantially its dependency in relation to debt. It was very important to listen to him and to have his advice, to have his suggestions, to have his perspective, for me to be able to translate the dramatic needs and interests of developing countries, in particular of small island development states, in the next initiative.
Right. This, again, and before I get into that, I'll just play a clip of them also talking about Nigel, since he has been hoisted to the IMF.
Will be off to the multinational lending agency, the International Monetary Fund IMF, by the end of October. Kristalina Georgieva is the managing director of the IMF.
He brings hands-on experience as Minister of Finance in transforming an economy from a weaker to a much stronger position in which institutions and policies provide for a good performance and translate into jobs for the people of Jamaica.
Dr. Clark will replace Antoinette Saye as one of the 3 deputy managing directors. There is a first deputy managing director above that rank.
Okay. Do you think all of these people don't know that we are swimming in corruption? Do you think all of these people that are speaking highly of them don't know that our budget is being looted day in, day out? Even the money they give them or gave them for certain programs or whatever, don't you think they know? But let's deal with the diplomatic issue though, Mr. Rattigan. You know America cannot and will not intervene in the affairs of Jamaica directly. It is true, though, that the Americans intervene in country either underhandedly or through its international organizations. Through its international organizations such as the UN, the World Health Organization, the World Trade Organization, and all of those little apparatus, World Bank, IMF, that's the policy hawk division under the American, under the Monroe Doctrine, whole cycle of how the Americans control things around the Western Hemisphere. It is also true, though, that where an American administration becomes uncomfortable with any country that America thinks threatens their economic or national security, they will intervene underhandedly or overtly with war. Underhandedly would be uprising, civil wars, and all of that. I explained that to you to say that what Mr. Rattigan is asking for under diplomatic law, it's impossible. Governments will not interfere with other governments' domestic policies like that. How America would intervene with Andrew Holness? Andrew Holness would have to be seen to have gone rogue. Andrew Holness would have to be seen to be going down the communist route. Andrew Holness would have to stand up to them and say, no, I am not signing up to your Somewhat, and I'm not applying the transgender laws, and I'm going to outlaw homosexuality, and I'm going to give it a death penalty. You will quickly see Andrew get sanctioned for that, or information keeps spilling about Andrew for that. This is how the Americans work. But to directly get involved in the affairs of Jamaica, Mr. Rattigan, no, that's the two fingers up to you. Mr. Rattigan, go and find something to do. You're too boring. That's pretty much would be the reply from the Americans. So that's another manipulation from Mr. Rattigan to make you believe that he or they can get Europe or America to strong arm Andrew. The Americans don't get involved unless their national security interest is threatened. Just look at the relationship between America and Saudi Arabia, you know? So it's just the whole manipulation. Our final clip that we're going to play for you will take us into dealing with the issues of the two lawsuits.
A cent from the foundation. The records are there. The records that has never received a cent from the foundation. The records are there. The records are there. The only case financed by the foundation is the Kamina Johnson case. And guess what? The board approved it on October 25th, 2023. Now, I have gone over the minutes of that.
October 5th, he said, 2023. It was approved by the board, Mr. Rattigan. Let us go through some timeline of those cases here. And I want the audience to bear in mind the One Jamaica Legal Defense Foundation became operational, I think, last year, June rather, as a registered organization. Mr. Rattigan, you said ISAT doesn't get a dime, blah, blah, blah. When these reports came out, the one on the right, where I think RGR put this bit out, but it was put out by all of the mainstream media, Mr. Rattigan, that you employed ISAT, the controversial attorney ISAT Buchanan. Did you challenge that information? This was in December of last year. Did you challenge that information that you have not employed ISAT Buchanan? Remember, the ruling against Kamina Johnson came down in November of last year, was it not? Let's move on. Rattigan versus Kamina Johnson Smith, Mr. Rattigan. That case was filed on the 19th of April, 2023. Mr. Rattigan, follow the timeline, please. The people are the jury, Mr. Rattigan. Follow the timeline. Remember, both of us, I have an LLB, you have a Juris Doctor, Mr. Rattigan. Follow the timeline, please. Filed on the 19th of April, 2023, Mr. Rattigan. The attorney who filed that case, Sophia D. Brown, attorney at law. Have you, Mr. Rattigan, have any outstanding money for Miss Brown? And did you, Mr. Rattigan, at any time has ever used any of your law enforcement cronies in Jamaica to intimidate or threaten Miss Brown, Mr. Rattigan, because you owe her money on the case and did not want to pay her? Can you speak about that, Mr. Rattigan? Let's move on. Remember, the case was filed in April of last year. The One Jamaica Legal Defense Foundation had a tax exemption since June of last year, Mr. Rattigan. How much months after the filing of your case against Johnson Smith, Mr. Rattigan? The decision in the Kamina Johnson Smith case came on the 8th of November 2023. Thus far, Mr. Rattigan, let's deal with retrospectivity here. You and I understand retrospectivity in law, Mr. Rattigan, meaning that the law does not work in reverse, Mr. Rattigan. Meaning if an organization is registered or formed in June, Mr. Rattigan, it cannot then, Mr. Rattigan, take up expenses for April of 2019, which it wasn't in creation at the time. Is it not, Mr. Rattigan? Do you find a dichotomy here? You just said in the clip, the only case was paid for by the organization and was authorized in October 5th of 2020 and 2023. The money you paid to Sophia Bryant, Mr. Rattigan, you allude further in your show that if anything, the foundation owes you, Mr. Rattigan. That would be the money you paid to Sophia Bryant, barring what you owed her. So in that, the organization could not owe you anything, is it not? You damn fool. And you take the time to tap and tell me, say, yeah, go unsubscribe. You're stupid enough. Baba Bethune, you're stupid enough to stop and tell me, say, yeah, go unsubscribe. Oh no, so no have sense. If me see something where me nah watch, me never even look, nah tap. Never mind fit up and tell the people them. Say me I go unsubscribe. Me not understand. Uno no people. I mean I understand why it take on us so hard to unsubscribe if that's what uno want to do. Me don't know why I have to come on me and tell you say me I go unsubscribe. What do you think me I go to ball? You think me I go drop a dot and throw the sweetie out of the cheerleader and carry on? No, sir. Me now go to them something there. Anyway, go and go find something to do. You show the world and the crowd already say, you're not too intelligent if you tap to tell me, say, I don't like you. One, you're at a butter and a flatter. Anyway, retrospectivity, Mr. Rattigan. Retrospectivity. So the money you pay to Sophia Bryan, the foundation owes you nothing. Because this case started in April. The foundation started in June. So on that part, the foundation owes you nothing. It really doesn't. But let's move on, Mr. Rattigan. So the organization started in June. The decision came November. Now you filed the appeal on the 22nd of November 2023. It was at that time, Mr. Rattigan, that you employed Isat Buchanan, or hired rather, Isat Buchanan for the appeals. You said on your last program you did on the Saturday, that the board agreed to put the two lawsuits together and pay for them. We're clear on that, Mr. Ratty? Now, the Ratty versus Morgan is a private lawsuit. How did that get intertwined financially with the Kamina Johnson Smith lawsuit? So here now is when the foundation start picking up the bill for the Kamina Johnson lawsuit. Bear in mind that the decision that came down and the application that was made was the wrong application. A judicial review wasn't the right application. Therefore, appealing the decision, you're just wasting the organization money because you said the organization is paying for it. How then, though, Mr. Rattigan? This is retrospectivity as well, because this filing on the 22nd of November goes back to the filing, Mr. Rattigan, of April 19, 2023. It's the same case. You see, this is not a case that was started in November 2022. It's the same case from April 19th. But by the time it gets to the appeal, the organization was live and up and running. So Mr. Rattigan used the organization's money to pay for a lawsuit that he's never going to win. And furthermore, he lumped a private lawsuit to it. Mr. Rattigan can say to you, I did not pay. Isat Buchanan hasn't got a dime from me. But can you prove, though, Mr. Rattigan, that the money was not paid to the firm that Isat Buchanan worked or another person in Isat Buchanan's firm? Those are simple questions you can answer as a fearless leader. I hope the timeline shows you, Mr. Rattigan, that using the money, not properly documenting how the money is being collected or used, or any form of structure of your organization, Mr. Rattigan. Do you have a secretary? Who is advising Mr. Rattigan? There are too much mistakes and blunder being made of a leader. If this is the leader you want to administer your affair, you must want a competent and credible leader to carry out your affair. You must also want a leader and an organization which you can have a communication with. Ask yourself, does the One Jamaica Legal Defense Foundation have those qualities? And is Wilfred Rattigan credible to lead the One Jamaica Legal Defense Foundation? Thank you very much for watching. The investigation will continue, Mr. Rattigan. If you tell lies, we will unearth them, we will counter them, and we hope to see that you do everything you can. Dark side, me too intelligent to answer you. You don't see how me bright, dark side. You didn't see me bright. Me have a LLB. Me do a master's. Me have a law diploma. Me have a paralegal advanced diploma. You don't say, oh, my bright, dark side. Your very name represents you. Dark side. But never mind you. You know, say so. Want to seek attention. Want to want to have a little relevance, you see. Anyway, I really thank you all for your support to the Global Television brand. Make sure you subscribe to their producer Wayne, not the producer Wayne, the Global TV Studios, because when we return with Drive Time London will be aired on the Global Television Studios only. So if you are not a follower of Global Television Studios, please make sure you start now. Baby, you know them can't pull me. You know me like to put them in at the jiffy, the bag and shake them and see what come out of them. You see, but so them not bother me. People over social media should I know by now. Say, look here, when I rub the wrong person, you can't upset me. Me tough like a crocodile and tough like a tortoise. Put fire on my back 3 days before me feel it. That's me, you see. You can't tell me anything to insult me. No, I'll just laugh after you, or I'll wind you up, or I'll tickle you or something. But no, you don't turn up on me doorway. So therefore, you don't upset me. You're not in my way when I come out of my doorway. Anyway, my people, I do appreciate you all, even those bigots, brutes, and batterers. Even you, the bigot, the brute, and the batterer, you are children of the Most High Creator. Of course you are. Why should I not? Why should I not allow you to be yourself while I am here being my very own? I am what I am. I am my own special creation. Thank you and good night from Global Television Group.